Hello! Today I want to show you more of potion craft development. A lot of you mentioned that I need to work on mouse cursor after I showed prototype gameplay. You said that cursor is moving too fast and jerky, that it should be attached to pestle while grinding, and that cursor should be in the shape of a grabby hand. Of course I knew all that, thought about it and even tried some test cursor sprites, but it didn't go well, so I decided to focus on more important tasks. But now the time has come, and I started to work on mouse cursor. I found two good references and started to work on my new hand cursor. I think that two states will be enough for now. Normal state and grab state when we press mouse button. It turned out quite difficult to draw a cursor, because for me it's already hard to draw human parts. I also didn't know how much details I need to use, and I wanted my cursor to have the same drawing style that the rest of the game art. But I needed to stand out somehow, because if it doesn't, player will just lose it. It's pretty frustrating when you can't find your own cursor on the screen, you know? At first I drew cursor as a glove, but then I thought that it doesn't look very good and removed hole. For such cursors it's not that easy to understand where's the pointer, so I decided to draw it on separate layers so I don't have problems in the future with it. And here we have our first version of cursor, yay! It ain't perfect, but I'll make some adjustments later, you'll see. After that, I finally got to a very important task for my game. High quality foreground texture. I already showed you the parchment texture that I used in my prototype, but it was temporary. All texture was too blurry and had wrong proportions. That's why I started the search of the perfect parchment image. I googled a lot, tried some textures and finally found the one I liked. To make foreground texture from image, I needed to make some adjustments. First, I removed some elements that stood out too much, like black dots and stains. It's very easy if you use clone brush. I also cut image to fit all my scene with a 16:8 ratio. Then I invert our image and raster it to mask. Now we have our texture with transparency. It will be our foreground. Now graphics look more detailed. Nice! After I worked on parchment texture, I decided to add shadow to cursor sprite and mess with its colors a bit, so it became better. In my early mockups, I filled UI parts with another color to separate it from game's scene. It didn't look very good, so I decided to add shadow on UI parts and add stronger foreground texture. I used the same texture that I used for scene, but with sprite mask, so it was only for UI elements. Also I need a third layer of foreground for mouse cursor. But I don't want foreground texture to be static on the scene. I need texture that moves with cursor, so I just changed sprite a bit. Then I implemented all of this in Unity and had some fun with learning how tiled and sliced sprites work. At first I thought that I will need it to make UI, but then I decided to make it as whole texture, without seamless textures. Though I will need this knowledge in the future for sure. I didn't try it yet, because in my previous games I used Graphical Asset Toolkit 2D, and I almost didn't use Unity native sprites. After that I started to work on real game UI elements. I had a vision and mockup, but it was time to get serious and draw real sprites. It took a lot of time, because working on real elements is harder than just sketching. And also I was changing some positions and layouts on the go. I think that for now there will be only 4 tabs in the inventory. First tab includes everything, second is for ingredients only, third is for potions, and fourth is for other things like recipe books. It's not final, but I hope this won't change, or I will need to redesign this part of UI. Unlike mockup in real design, I need to split image on different objects like background, tabs, icons and so on. If I make everything right, then I can easily implement it in-game with no additional troubles. When the first version of new UI was ready, I decided to make some fast task as a good end of the day. Implement new animated cursor. I copied prefab from my old project and made some adjustments. And yeah, now I have animated cursor and everything feels much better with it. Funny how small features can generate so much motivation and good mood. In my first version of right panel, I didn't like this element since it looked unnatural, so I redraw it. I think it looks better now, but I'm not sure yet, we'll see when full panel is drawn. Since I decided to make UI as several combined objects, I created separate files for each element. For example, here I work on tabs. I drew all icons for tabs, maybe not final, but close to it for now. Green plant for ingredients tab, potion bottle for potions tab, and scroll for other tab. I decided to ignore first tab for now and make it easy, just combine 3 icons in one. After I made all tab elements, it was time to implement it in Unity editor. As you can see, I have 2 types of tabs, selected and not selected. Of course, there will be only one selected tab at once. These tabs are the same except sprite depth layer. Selected tab is in front of panel texture and other tabs are behind it. There are also some additional shadow sprites for better appearance. After implementing new UI sprites, I got some random sprite parts near the screen edges. So I decided to make some screen borders to remove those unwanted parts. I created 4 rectangles and moved their edges near the game scene edges. As you can see, I also added left UI panel, but there's nothing there because I didn't work on it yet. Well, enough about the UI. Soon I will need to come up with interesting potion effects ideas. You know, healing, poisoning, fortify strength, increase speed, and so on. I need you to help me with ideas. Name top 3 potion effects that you wanna see in the game and explain why it is so special. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the new videos. If you really like what I'm doing, you can support me on Patreon. You can learn more in the video on your screen. Bye bye!